In 2022, Meta employees watched 76% of their RSU value disappear in 13 months. Not a bad quarter, not a temporary dip. 76%. Gone. And the cruelest part was not the loss itself. The cruelest part was that they had already paid income tax on shares that were now worth less than the tax bill. Today, I want to show you the real math behind that scenario, because it is happening quietly inside thousands of offer letters right now. HR calls RSUs free money. The math says something very different. 2 engineers, same company, same total compensation of $200,000 a year, same base salary of $150,000, same $50,000 in variable pay annually. 5 years later, one of them has over $258,000 in a diversified portfolio. The other is staring at $156,000 in a single stock that already dropped 30%. Same paycheck, one decision, $102,000 gap. That gap is what we're going to build today, number by number, so you can see exactly where it comes from and what to do about it before your next offer letter lands. If you want more breakdowns like this one, breakdowns that show you what the comp package actually says once you strip out the HR framing, that is what Paycheck Playbook is for. Hit subscribe. Now let us get into the 2 timelines. Meet James. James is a senior engineer. His offer gives him $50,000 per year in RSUs, vesting quarterly over 4 years with annual refreshes, so the grants keep rolling. James likes the idea of owning a piece of the company he is building. His manager tells him RSUs are basically a bonus that grows with the stock. HR sends a welcome email calling it equity upside. James signs the offer and starts his first quarter. Meet Claire. Same role, same company, same $200,000 total comp. Claire negotiated a cash bonus instead of RSUs. Her manager raised an eyebrow. HR pushed back slightly. But Claire had done the math. She took that $50,000 every year and put it directly into an S&P 500 index fund, dollar cost averaging monthly, no single stock, no concentration, just the entire market every month automatically. Now let us run the tape forward 5 years. Claire's account compounds steadily. Year 1 ends with roughly $55,000. Year 2 adds another tranche at higher market prices. The annuity formula at 10% annual return over 5 years, which is the S&P 500's long-term historical average, produces a terminal value of approximately $306,000 on $50,000 per year contributed. She then sells. Her shares have been held well over a year. She pays long-term capital gains at 15% on the gains above her cost basis. Her net after tax lands around $258,000. That is the number James needs to beat. Now let us look at James's timeline. James vests his first tranche in month 3. The stock is at $90 a share. He gets a block of shares deposited into his brokerage account. Then something important happens that almost nobody notices on their first vesting. His W-2 updates. The fair market value of those shares, $90 times however many units vested, is now ordinary income. It is taxed exactly like his salary. Federal rate for a $200,000 earner is 32% or higher. His company withholds 22% by default, which means James will owe the IRS a surprise check in April. Here is the first hidden cost. James is paying salary-level taxes on stock he has not sold yet. He does not have the cash from a sale. He has shares sitting in an account, but the IRS wants their cut based on the price at vesting, regardless of what happens to the stock afterward. James keeps holding. He believes in the company. The stock climbs to $110 over the next 2 years. He feels validated. He has paper gains on top of the ordinary income he already paid tax on. This is what concentration risk feels like when it is working. It feels like genius. Then comes the reset. It does not have to be a scandal. It does not have to be fraud. It just has to be a bad earnings call, a macro shift, rising interest rates, a competitive threat the market did not price in. In 2022, Meta fell 76%. Netflix fell 68%. PayPal fell 57%. These were not obscure startups. These were profitable, dominant companies with billions in revenue. And their RSU holders watched years of vesting value evaporate inside 12 months. In James's scenario, the stock drops 30% from his average vesting price. His $250,000 in contributed RSU value is now worth $175,000 in the market. But here's what makes this worse than a simple loss. James already paid ordinary income tax at the time of each quarterly vest based on the higher prices. He paid taxes on money he no longer has. The IRS does not send a refund because the stock went down after you paid the bill. He can claim a capital loss, but federal rules cap the deductible loss at $3,000 per year against ordinary income. He will be writing that loss off for years. Net result after tax adjustments, approximately $156,000. Let me put this on a graph. Imagine two bars sitting side by side. Both start at the same height, $50,000 going in each year. By year 2, Claire's bar is growing in small, consistent steps. Each new contribution buying into a diversified basket of 500 companies. James's bar looks similar on the surface, but it is actually one bar pretending to be 5. It is $50,000 of single stock risk stacked 5 times. The bars look identical until year 5. Then the stock drops. James's bar collapses 30%. Claire's bar stays standing because no single company can take it down. The gap between those two bars at year 5 is $102,000. That is not a rounding error. That is a car, a down payment, 2 years of a child's college tuition gone because of a framing choice in an offer letter. Now I want to address the strongest counter-argument because it is real and you should hear it fully before deciding. If James's stock had gone up 30% instead of down, the math flips. A 30% gain on $250,000 in RSUs gives him $325,000 before tax. After paying long-term capital gains at 15% on the appreciation above his cost basis, he comes out meaningfully ahead of Claire. That is the upside scenario, and it is legitimate. Companies like Nvidia, Amazon, and Google made long-term RSU holders genuinely wealthy over the past decade. If you joined those companies in 2014 and held through 2024, cash bonus holders left an enormous amount of money on the table. So this is not a blanket argument against RSUs. It is a conditional argument. RSUs beats cash bonuses when the stock appreciates significantly, and you hold long enough to qualify for long-term capital gains treatment. Cash bonuses beat RSUs when the stock stays flat, drops, or you need to sell quickly at ordinary income rates. The question is which outcome you are betting on, and whether you are being paid for that bet. Here's the part most engineers miss. When you accept RSUs instead of a cash bonus, you are making a concentrated investment in your employer's stock. You are already exposed to that company through your salary, your career trajectory, your professional network, and your future bonus potential. Adding $50,000 a year in single stock RSU concentration means you are doubling down on the same bet 4 different ways simultaneously. Schwab's guidance on equity compensation is explicit. Hold no more than 10% of your total portfolio in any one stock. Most tech employees with RSUs are sitting at 50, 60, even 80%. Not because they chose concentration deliberately, because they never ran the number. This is what I call the comp illusion. HR presents RSUs as upside with no visible downside. The grant letter shows you a dollar figure that feels real. But that figure is a projection based on the stock price today, applied to a future vesting schedule before taxes, before any price movement, before any forfeiture risk if you leave. The cash bonus number on the same offer letter is the actual money. The RSU number is a scenario. Treat them differently. So what do you do if you already hold RSUs? And what do you do before signing the next offer? Step 1 is to calculate your concentration. Add up every vested and unvested RSU you hold. Divide that by your total investable net worth, which includes your 401k, brokerage accounts, savings, and home equity if applicable. If that number is above 20%, you have a concentration problem regardless of how well the stock has performed. Concentration that works is still concentration. Step 2 is to sell on a schedule, not on a feeling. The most common mistake RSU holders make is holding shares because the stock is down and they are waiting to recover, or holding because the stock is up and they do not want to miss more gains. Both of those are emotional decisions made with concentrated risk. Set a rule before the vest. Something like, I will sell 50% of every tranche within 30 days of vesting and diversify immediately. This converts your RSU income into something closer to a cash bonus, which is what Claire had from the start. Execute the rule every quarter regardless of the news cycle. Step 3 is to negotiate from data, not from defaults. Most engineers accept the RSU versus cash split that HR presents on day 1 without asking whether it is adjustable. It often is, especially at mid to large companies where the comp structure has flexibility. The question to ask in negotiation is simple. Can we increase the base or the cash bonus component and reduce the equity grant? That question alone surfaces whether the company has flexibility. If they say yes, you gain certainty. If they say no, you at least know what you are working with. Here is the reframe that changes how I think about this. Every RSU tranche you hold past vesting is a decision. It is not inertia. It is an active choice to hold a concentrated single stock position in the company where you already work with money you have already been taxed on at an ordinary income rate. In a scenario where your job and your investment are correlated, if your company has a hard quarter, you face potential layoffs and a stock drop simultaneously. Your human capital and your financial capital are moving in the same direction at the same time. That is not free money. That is leveraged exposure with no hedge and a tax bill attached. Claire knew that on day one. James learned it in year 5. Your RSU grant is not a bonus. It is a bet. The bet might pay off. But you should know the odds, understand the tax structure, and size the position the way you would size any other concentrated investment, because that is exactly what it is. Drop a comment below. If you have RSUs sitting in your brokerage right now, what percentage of your portfolio are they? No need to share the dollar amount, just the percentage. I want to see how concentrated this audience actually is. I am Drew. I will see you in the next one. This video is for education and entertainment only. I am not a financial advisor, and this is not personal money or investing advice. Please research carefully before making any financial decision. Some voice or visuals may be AI assisted, but every video is personally reviewed, edited, and finalized by me, Drew.